your audio up once we go.
Yeah.
All right, we are live. Grayce, I don't know if you can hear me. I hope so. Chad Brown, I see you there. Do not talk while we're talking because there's too much chatter going on. So control yourself for a second. Do not talk while we're talking because there's too much chatter going on. All right, Grayce, I got serious feedback on your end. I'm hearing my echo.
Sorry.
All right, great. I got serious feedback on your end. I'm hearing my echo.
It's such a weird delay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I know you can. All right, welcome to the Running Mullet. We are figuring out some audio difficulties right now. Oh, Grayce seems to be with Chad Brown, and we have Jordan Copenhafer on, who's running Eastern States this weekend. This is going to be a showdown show of the ages, and also some race prep strategy type talk towards the end. So, with all that aside, it's Eastern States week, and we've got ourselves a fight. I get to be referee on episode number 23 tonight. I'm Eric, Idiot Runner Kosek.
And I'm Grayce, Hot Pants Langheim. Eric is all business in the front of the pack, and I am all about the party in the back.
That's right, business up front and party in the back. Together, we are the Running Mullet.
And we are going to talk about every aspect of running, the podium to the DNF and everything in between.
If you are a runner, this show is for you. Now sit back, get out your foam roller, and enjoy the party. Jordan, we lost our co-host, and that's all right. Hopefully she'll be back. I'm sure she's figuring that audio issue out that they're having, and that's okay. We have plenty of time. Jordan Copenhafer, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Eric. How are you doing tonight?
You are have been a supporter from the beginning of this show, and we very much appreciate it. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you on. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
How is life? How are you feeling leading up to this Eastern States party?
I'm feeling really good. I put in a big month of July training wise and backed off the past 2 weeks. Took it nice and easy this past weekend, just kind of staying moving. And I feel recovered. I feel exactly where I want to be at this point in time leading up to this weekend.
That sounds like confidence to me. It's hard to find people, myself included, that ever feel that confident going into one of these bigger ultra races. So that must feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly get into those periods of self-doubt, but I think you just, need to trust the process, trust what works for yourself, and stick to that plan. And although I haven't run the 100-mile distance in the past, I've run close to it when I did the Standing Stone Trail unsupported. It's 84 miles, 17,000 vert, and did that in 32 hours. I carried all my own food, filtered water, so that took up time, and had zero, interaction with people for that duration. So it's going to be a different beast. That was in May. This is in the heart of summer with humidity going to be relatively high. So I'm just kind of, looking at what I've done in the past and comparing. I know that I have it in me to get this complete.
Yeah, and you are this will be the culmination of the Triple Crown, right? Heiner, World's End, and Eastern States, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Did Heiner and World's End go pretty smoothly for you, all things considered?
Yeah, they went about as to plan as a race ever does. Stuff always comes up that you need to work through, and the longer you're out running, the more stuff comes up. But yeah, overall, both went to plan.
Nice. All right, give me a second. Grayce, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, buddy.
Okay, since that technical difficulty happened, we are switching up the format of the show and listening to Jordan first, and we will come back to you guys for the brawl of the century towards the end. Is that all right with you?
I'm totally in for it. I want to hear everything. I've been excited to hear about your plan, Jordan. It's been a cool year watching you go after the Triple Crown, and can't wait to see how it goes for you this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
The weather's looking like it's pretty much fantabulous for you guys. I don't know if it could get any better for August in North Central PA. Would you agree?
I mean, we're spoiled, 5-6 weeks ago with all that low humidity. I knew that wasn't going to last. So July was reality, and it's going to continue with the humidity.
I mean, even if it's humid, though, it's still low 80s. I mean, you can't complain with that. It could be mid 90s, you know?
Yeah, it could be like last week.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is you get to go for a swim right before you get to our aid station at 62. So I would say I would recommend anybody that does this stream crossing, and obviously they're going to if they're running the race, I would take your darn time through there because I think it's going to help your body a lot. Yeah.
I'm probably going to be coming through that area more towards the middle of the nighttime period. Based on my race plan, but it's probably still going to be quite warm. So it's going to be a nice refresher wading through the creek.
So let's talk about the race plan then. What is your, I don't know, you know, people set up race plans differently. I prefer to have a goal, which is pretty far reaching, I would say. And then a B and C, obviously happy with all three of them in the long run. How are you tackling this 100-miler, being your first 100?
Yeah, so when I approach any sort of run, it's all about just going out having fun. I don't ever really have a competitive aspect to my running events that I participate in. Trail running's always been about like getting out and exploring wild parts of the world that you can't otherwise get to other than by foot. Yep. And this is really no different. So it's part of North Central PA that I've been to before, but I haven't explored the entire Pine Creek area. I've run parts of the course, but not in its entirety. So I'm approaching this as like an adventure per se, kind of like I'd do if I was doing a trail FKT. And I don't really have a B, or C goal. My time goal is 34 hours. And that's all just based on that gives me a buffer. And if I end up running faster, great. If I end up running slower, at least I still have 2 hours in the bank to hopefully get it complete. My strategy is pretty much all about reducing stress. And that's kind of how I build my race plan. I'm all packed already. As much as I can be. That way I can just kind of sit back and relax this week, get through work, and be excited about the event this weekend because I know it's all going to come and go super fast.
Gosh, you're so planned and so calm and cool. How do I do this? I need to teach me.
And I think because I'm also, Jordan, we have this in common, big time hikers, right? So you and your wife do a lot of hiking. And I always say there's two kinds of trail runners. There are former road runners and hikers that also trail run. and so is that an AT shirt that you have on right now? Is that the White Blaze? Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
Got this in Hot Springs when I was picking up my wife last year when she was attempting the AT.
Fabulous, man. See, and I think that the things that you're talking about is a little more, I think, of that hiker perspective of like, I'm just going to go out, have an adventure, have fun. I'm already packed, ready to go. How do you think your experience hiking and being out there for a long time on the trails is going to help you this weekend?
I mean, when you're out hiking, you're out there for a really long time. So there's no way around that. So time on your feet is critical. And a lot of my training is really based on hiking that I do with my wife. And I think it's really beneficial for a race like Eastern States where there's so much hiking involved with the race. I mean, there's a lot of steep uphill and it is not efficient to run that for that sort of mileage or duration. So all the hiking that I've done in the past will certainly translate well to a race like Eastern States, and just the mental challenges that you face when you're hiking, like comparing doing a through hike to a long distance trail race. There's a lot of mental challenges that are similar. And I think in a lot of ways, doing a long distance hike is more challenging because you face the same mental things each and every day. Breaking down camp, being on your feet for 20 miles, setting up camp, sleeping out in the elements. It's a lot of stuff that in a trail race you get blasted with in a short amount of time. And if you can just push through it, 36 hours, you can get it done. You just got to keep moving.
Yeah.
So you're not using any pacers, I assume?
My wife is actually pacing me the last 10 miles.
Nice.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Alicia, she's not a big trail runner. She's done a couple trail races. She did Fire on the Rocks actually up in that neck of the woods.
Yep.
But she has so much hiking experience that I know she's going to do well keeping me moving those last 10 miles. And I thought it would be a cool experience to include her as part of that aspect of my race.
Well, yeah. That's awesome. That's a great spot, for anybody. That's one of the greatest things about Eastern States, I think, is the way they break the aid stations down towards the end, where you can pick people up at. I mean, there's some really short sections for you just take loved ones, family members that don't run, and they can still, let's face it, they can still stay up with anybody at that point and be a part of your race and even finish with you. Such a big accomplishment for anybody finishing this race. So it is cool that it's able to be laid out like that. Yeah,
I definitely agree.
Oh, what else? Let's see. Let's hear about your fueling a little bit. What is you're going out for a confident hike here by the sounds of it, but what do you have a fueling plan?
Generally I try to eat early and often. I never try to fall behind on my calories. If I'm feeling hungry, I know I'm already behind on my calories. So I know when I did the Standing Stone Trail, I ate a certain amount of calories every hour, and I literally would force myself to eat even if I wasn't hungry. I'm probably going to follow a similar approach for Eastern States from the food perspective. Hydration is the other big aspect, especially this time of year. So I'm constantly going to be maintaining my hydration. I don't want to fall behind on that because that's even harder to recover. And if you get dehydrated, eating just becomes more of a challenge because your body is overheating and just overall struggling. So I think it starts off with starting early and maintaining throughout.
Eat early and often. You hear that, Eric? Eat early and often.
I hear wah, 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 wah.
Now, I want to hear your thoughts on this, Jordan. I was talking to someone who shall remain nameless earlier today about what they're going to eat the day before. And their two suggestions were a black bean burger or a salad. To which I said, so tell me more about the stomach issues that you have during long races. And so I always say no roughage. Eric, you say that. He's very excited about the sound effects. No roughage. I know what works for me, and I just kind of stick to the same thing, and that's chicken and sweet potatoes. What do you do the day before?
Try and eat a little bit more than I normally would, but not a lot. I'd try and just stick to what I generally would normally eat. I have some meals that are already prepped, courtesy of my mom, that I'm eating this week. Nice. Some stuffed shells and potatoes and pork, both casseroles, and going to be eating that all week. So I think that's a good balance of the type of nutrients that I'm going to need on race day. On the way up, I always like to stop at Sheetz and pick up whatever looks appealing. That's kind of how I approach races too. I don't necessarily have an objective of certain things to eat. I get into an aid station and eat what looks appealing. Fortunately, stuff generally always looks appealing to me, but I know when I ran Twisted Branch, which was also an August race, I struggled a little bit more during the heat of the day, feeling hungry. So there's certainly going to be that point in time, and it's probably going to be a longer point in time duration-wise at Eastern States where stuff isn't as appealing and I'm just going to have to force stuff down. I generally do well with stuff that I don't need to chew. So my parents and wife, they're going to be crewing me and do really well with Ensure Plus drinks, yogurt drinks. I don't know why yogurt works so well for me during the summer, but it does. I absolutely love peanut butter during winter, but I cannot choke it down for the life of me when it's warm. So I know what certain foods work and what don't. And generally during the summer, it's the liquid types. But earlier in the race, I love eating pierogies, quesadillas, PB&J, that sort of stuff.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All kinds of carbs and protein leading up to it. So for that person we were talking about dinner, no salad. Maybe
well, I mean, but I would say, leading up the day before, the week of leading up to a race is not when you want to get crazy and try all kinds of different things either. I have a salad every day for lunch, and I would be, I think, and most times before an ultra on that Friday before, I still have a salad. Now, granted, my dinner is a little carb heavier, but I'm not, just because you eat somewhat healthy or, your style doesn't mean you should change it up too much, because then you might have even more stomach problems.
Yeah, I generally agree with that. And that's why I don't really change a whole lot leading up to the race or the day before. I don't want to throw myself off balance from what I normally would have in me.
Right.
Yeah. And I think I definitely don't go for the spaghetti dinner. I know some people do that, and it's too heavy because I don't normally have spaghetti.
I like burgers. I like cheesesteak the night before. It works. I don't know.
I'll probably have some nerves, at that point in time, since I'm there, and I'm going to have to pick my food wisely, stuff that is easy to eat.
Where are you staying at Friday night?
Got a cabin at Happy Acres right across the street.
Nice.
So nice and convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Morning of, get down some coffee. I'm going to have 2 glazed donuts from Wawa. I like eating them in the morning before races.
Well, I should be at the start line, so if you need a pre-race hug along with the hug at 62, just find me, okay?
Appreciate it.
Well, it sounds like you're more prepared as prepared as anyone, and that should be pretty exciting going into it. You're already packed, you said?
Yeah, as much as I can have stuff packed. Everything's laid out in my gear room downstairs, so it's all out.
Now, are you doing Blacklist or just Triple Crown?
Yeah, Eric and I were talking about that. So
okay.
I know as of this morning, there's 91 spots still open on the Blacklist. So you can interpret that as you please. But I will most likely be signing up for Black Forest Sunday night.
Nice.
That is my objective.
I mean, you and your wife went on some pretty epic hikes this summer as well. So, flipping over to that side of it, do you have any big hikes scheduled for the back half of the year or heading into next year? What are you looking forward to on the hiking side?
Yeah, I actually have a pretty sizable hike 3 weeks after Eastern States. I'm going down to the Smokies and doing a section hike from Fontana Dam to the northern side of the Smokies. So that's 77 miles, about 20,000 vertical feet. So it'll be a really big push, and I have an extra day built in too, because there's a little bit of a gap that I have of 15 miles that I'd like to bridge near Hot Springs, North Carolina. So maybe upwards in the 90s too. But it all depends on how I feel after Eastern States. I had an even more aggressive hiking itinerary planned out, but the more I thought about it, it was putting me in the area of potentially being overuse injury realm.
Right.
So I wanted to avoid that. So my wife, she does all the planning for me because she enjoys doing that.
Me too.
All right.
Next year,
Keep going.
a lot of Appalachian Trail hiking. Nothing official, but she'll potentially be out there a bunch next year.
Fabulous. Can't wait to watch.
I'd like to do the whole PA section.
Lots of rocks.
I know.
That's actually where I do a lot of training. I try and train on stuff harder than what I'm going to be racing on. If you can run on the Appalachian Trail, you can run anything, in my opinion, with all the rocks.
All right. Well, we're going to see you this weekend. You're going to kick butt. Everybody's going to kick butt. It's going to be a magical day. Thank you for talking about
finish rate. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Thanks for talking about your plan leading up to it and what you're doing afterwards. And we're going to, as long as you're cool with it, if you need to go somewhere, that's totally fine, but we'll keep you on here if you're cool with it, and you can join the next little segment. If you want to say anything, try to get it in over Grayce if you can. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'll hang out.
But I'm excited you do. Now, Grayce, let me, before you go crazy here, I would like to do this as like game show style. I don't know if you're okay with that. Like start like me being the game show host, and I don't know what you were thinking. We didn't talk this through or kind of plan this. I don't know why Chad Brown is not on the camera, so you need to scoot there you go, keep scooching. Oh my God. All right, stop that. No, first of all, Chad Brown, your etiquette. I literally was having an interview with Jordan, and I could hear you chomping your chips. All right, so stop. All right, this is a show that goes on Spotify, Chad Brown. Nobody wants to hear you chomping your Doritos. All right.
That wasn't me.
I do want to hear you chastise him some more, though. So
for those that don't know, this is next to you, sitting next to you, and for those that are listening on Spotify, I'm sorry you can't see what's sitting next to Grayce. This is the Chad Brown that we've talked about several times throughout the show and the beginning of the show. He's an interesting fella. We know he likes chips. And
French fries. He's
French
just
fries.
really loud.
So the thought of this segment here is Chad Brown. Who are you crewing? Eric?
Sarah.
You're
Sarah
crewing Sarah. Okay.
We're kind of with both Eric and Sarah. But
How's that
going to be
work?
more with Sarah.
Okay. So let's just say you're crewing Sarah, and Grayce, you're crewing Laura. Now, to backtrack a little bit, the trash talk here. I mean, what's happened here is this division has come between you two as to who is the better crew. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So on the show tonight, we need to determine that answer, right?
Oh, that'll be determined, I think, this weekend, right?
This weekend, yeah. But I mean, leading up to that's what this show is for, is like why you are the better, why you feel like you're going to be a better crew. Am I correct?
There will be trash talking. Yes.
Okay. So, are you okay with the format that I put forth to you guys, or do you want to just fight on camera and everybody listens, or what?
We'll
I mean, I'm just thinking we start out with scenarios. I start out pretty light and keep the mood light, and you guys answer. And it's a very tedious points sheet that I have here, and you'll get points based on your answer.
Oh, okay. Well, you just go for it.
And we tally them up at the end, and that determines basically what runner from your crew is going to do best this weekend, I guess.
Well, see, here's what I have is I have a point system that will be determined this weekend when we are actually out there crewing our runners.
Fair enough.
You can figure out who's the better crew.
But the best part about this show and what we have going on here is people won't be able to follow your shenanigans this weekend as much as listening in right now, right here with you.
Too flat, though.
Tombs Flats, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
it's got to be a two-parter. I think we started off here and we finish it up over the weekend.
Yeah, I agree. And as of right now, I am going to try very hard to go live at Tombs Flats for Eastern States, which will be the first ever live broadcast of Eastern States, right? That is the plan to go live there and give updates as much as I can from Tombs Flats. So that's going to be super exciting. And by doing that, hopefully the timing will work out where Grayce, I'll have you and or Chad on and discuss how the day is unfolding for your runners and between you two, and if there's been any fights or bloodshed.
There will be blood. Eric, you don't get a representative because they didn't want to come on the show. So
yeah, sorry.
So, all right. So let's get down to it so we don't take up the whole night here. All right. So Chad and Grayce.
Yeah. I think to clarify for anybody listening, there are two Erics. There is an Eric Faree and there is an Eric Kosak.
Okay.
Eric Von Doodle.
Eric Von Doodle is running. Eric Von Doodle is running. And Sarah Wenger is also running. Sarah the White Rabbit. And then Chad is crew. Grayce is crew. Laura is running. There's so many people. It's crew mania is what it is.
Okay. So I'm just going to go through the race, basically how it's going to unfold regardless on Saturday. And I'm just going to come up with these off the cuff. So who knows how this is going to go. But I do have a very severe point system. So think wisely and answer correctly. So both of you as crew, Chad Brown and Grayce are crewing. Your runner wakes up morning of the race with severe diarrhea. What do you do or what do you tell them?
I buzzed in first.
Yep, Chad Brown.
It up, Buttercup. Get running.
So you tell them to just get running and nothing else. That's it.
Yeah, just take some extra toilet paper in the bag in your pack. That's all you gotta do.
I put him in the shower. Get him a fresh towel. I put my runner into the shower. Get them all cleaned up. Give them a fresh towel and a block of cheese.
Ooh,
would rice work?
What kind of wait? Hold on, and this determines the points. What kind of cheese?
Gotta go with sharp cheddar.
Oh, man, you hit that on the head. Man, all right. Grayce, you got 3 points on that one. Chad Brown, you got 0.7.
What? Oh, 0.7. Okay.
Okay. Just because your runner did start the race, so you got to have some points for that.
Thank you.
All right. So, I mean, everything's going good. The first 50K, I think we know of this race is the hardest. Jordan, I don't know. You take whatever advice you want, but I would say that first 50K is when you want to kind of chill out and enjoy the day and not get caught up in anything, because if you take it easy there, it's going to pay dividends in the end. I tell that to everybody. The last 23 miles, you can move pretty good if you have anything left. But
appreciate the advice.
So you come in, let's go into Heiner. You're coming into Heiner pretty hot from the day, and chafing is bad just from the vest, rib cage, back, sports bra, chafage. Chad Brown, what do you do? Oh, who's going to ring in here first?
Ladies first. Go ahead.
Okay, Grayce, go ahead.
Okay. This is easy. We've already pre-taped.
Yep.
We've already pre-taped the KT.
So there's no chafage at all because you were on top of it so much.
We were on top of it. That morning, I had the KT tape ready to go. It was already taped.
Did you think about crotch chafing? I mean, it could happen.
Oh,
Is tape in the crotch?
absolutely. Butthole has been lubed. And the cracks have been lubed. You got to do the cracks. You got to do all the cracks in the hole. Yeah.
All right, Chad Brown, how do you handle the butthole and the rib cage?
How do I handle the butthole? Well, with Sarah, that'd be up to her. I know her boyfriend; he's a good guy, so I would not touch the butthole. And the rib cage, I'd probably tell her maybe change shirts, maybe put a shirt on, put a little more, maybe a little. What's that? 2 Toms or whatever that stuff is. The
chicken.
We could use the nut butter.
You need to know what your runner uses. Which type of lube does she use?
It all comes in her bag. I'm saying
mine uses 2 Toms. Thank you.
Nut butter. We could put a little nut butter on there, but maybe put a shirt on and continue on. There's no stopping.
Now, if you're out of nut butter, do you just spit on it, Chad Brown, or is that a no-no?
When do we work up? Yeah, we would probably spit on it a little bit. No, we would not spit on it. That kind of irritated even more. I would borrow little nut butter off of somebody.
Yeah, it flows pretty freely.
Maybe Jordan will have extra.
The lubes flow real freely at these aid stations, so it is always nice. I mean, if you do have a point where you're panic and something it's not there, your crew's not there, it's always easy to find, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask somebody. I know a couple people. I'd ask around, like, see what I can find some.
I would share my lube.
You would share your lube? I would. Hey, we would. Grayce and I would at least share lubes.
Yeah, we would share.
Yeah, we would swap lubes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good of you, being competitors and like this. That's nice of you.
Yeah, teamwork. I mean, when it's all. Let me be clear. This competition is over who is best crew. It is not I don't know what that is. It is supporting all of the runners out there. And I think a really good crew person will support runners who are not theirs. I think that is a sign of superior crew.
I think, and I think most of the crew you would see this weekend are going to do just that. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of the sport. It really is.
Be with me on all the questions.
I'm with you. Whatever Grayce answers, I'm going to second that.
Yep.
All right, so let's stick with the same aid station. We're at Heiner, which is a good chunk into the race. Things have kind of settled down and everything, and your runner comes in with a sprained ankle. They can't currently run. It's swelled up, and you still have 60 some miles left of the race. They're saying it hurts. You're basically at this point, you're starting to become their central nervous system and their brain.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I would probably tell him to tape it up. Go find Lee. He would tape it up for him real good. And just tell him to go on to the next aid station. We'll see how it feels then. Maybe drink a Hams beer, our sponsor, by the way. And then maybe a shot of Fireball. But yeah, move on. Tape it up. Move on. Walk a little bit. You have to walk, but just keep going. Keep going forward, one step at a time. Right?
Now,
Grayce seconds that.
Hold on now.
Oh, yeah.
Now, who are you sponsoring? Who are your sponsors?
Oh, by the way, I'm sponsored by York Ridge Runners, Hams Beer, Cheap Charlie's Bail Bonds, and TJ's Pleasure Den.
There you go. In case you were wondering.
That's a lot of sponsors.
Well, I get around. I get around.
He's expensive to have on the show. It costs me a lot. So I think the most important thing that that Chad said was wait, see how you feel at the next aid station. So not thinking about the next 53 miles that you have to do, but just to get to the next aid station. How does that feel? So I'm going to go with, I agree with Chad on this one. It's what do we have to do to get you to the next aid station and then reassess when we get there.
Fair enough. Yeah. You can always do a couple more miles just to test things out, right?
Yeah. There's nothing better than listening to Eric Von Doodle giggle.
Yeah.
He is having a blast. And his giggles are the best.
All right, so we come into Toombs Flats aid station. You cross the creek. The ankle. Let's forget that even happened. Toombs Flats Slate Run aid station, where it used to be, is a popular. Oh man, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not gonna forget. I even started saying anything. It's a hard one to get out of. Let's put it that way. It's the 100K point in the race. Mm-hmm. It's getting dark, or is dark, for many runners at this point. And death has rolled in, and it's really hard to stay motivated. It's a lot of lows for people at that point. Not saying anybody that is listening is going to have a low at that point, but stomachs turn and they can't swallow another calorie, and they come in and say, Grayce, Chad, I can't. I don't know if I can do this. I haven't eaten in 3 hours, and I think this might be it. What are you doing? What do you do with them?
I know what advice I would give Sarah too, which is different than what I would tell Laura.
Let me see it. You tell what you're saying, and I'll see what I'm thinking.
So first off, anybody who was excited about this race is now scared. So that's super. No, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. You're gonna be fine. But let's say stomach has turned. I might have them just sit for a minute. I might try some different things. Like with Laura, it's going to be maple syrup. I'm going to see if I can get her to take in some maple syrup. And I'm going to pack her vest full of a ton of things. She, I believe, gets a pacer by now. So I'm going to...
Becky. Yep.
Yeah, with Becky. So by that point, I'm mostly going to talk to the pacer and not so much Laura, and say, she's got to eat, and she's got maple syrup. She has all these. Here's what she has with her, and see if you can get her to eat, and then have her work it out while she's out on the course.
And if you're Jordan, just point this out, and there's going to be a lot of people with no pacers at that point. You deal with those demons in your head the best you can, and you continue on, right, Jordan?
Yeah, I know everything comes and goes. I feel like shit for a while. I feel amazing, and I try and bring that back to reality, because the amazing only lasts for 5-10 seconds. But yeah, everything comes and goes.
Yeah. Bob Bauer had told me last week at the Crazy Mountain Ultra, he said, just remember, when you're in a low, every second that goes by, you're that close to getting to the next high. And it's a good point when all you have is yourself to battle the demons with.
Now, what advice would you give Sarah? Because I know what I would tell Sarah.
I would probably tell her, like you said, just sit down, relax, get some deep breaths in, just relax, chill out for a minute or two. Maybe take a little chicken broth or vegetable broth, something there, just to settle the stomach a little bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe like some blander food, or maybe a pierogi, something that doesn't really have a strong taste or anything, a lot of strong aftertaste. Mm-hmm. Maybe get a couple pierogies, and like I said, then I'm not sure who her pacer is at that point. Yeah. Tiffany, I would tell maybe just tell Tiff to keep talking to her, keep her mind off of her issues, and just give her encouragement and give her something a little lighter, just more
I got a better answer.
Okay.
I want Eric to tell me if I'm right. I have a better answer.
Eric, come over here and camera here.
So Sarah,
maybe a Hams.
if her stomach turns, I would see if she can puke, and I would encourage her to puke.
Is that back to the butthole stuff?
No.
Oh, okay.
This has nothing to do with her butthole.
Okay.
So I would encourage her to puke because it makes her feel better, and then I would send her with food and have her eat it in the next 20. Try again in 20-30 minutes.
What food would you have her eat?
That's it.
Who's right?
No. Get out of here. Get going.
That's what she did at Manitou's. She stuck her finger down her throat, puked. She was good.
And she's fine. Yeah, she's fine.
Man, I wish I could try to do that. I've never stuck my finger down my throat to puke, but there's times that I feel like it would help. But just to clarify on this line of questioning, Grayce, you just earned Chad 5 points somehow. So great job.
Hey, what about the shirt? That's 5 points right there.
My shirt is inspiring all of the runners out there this weekend. Little Robert Frost. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep.
Take my shirt off.
That's pretty good.
There you go. Yeah, inspiration for the weekend.
So, I mean, I guess it's going to keep coming down to how to get your runner out of the aid station more than anything. I mean, we move on to Blackwell Aid Station, which is the last giant one before the end of the race, 23 miles left. A lot of runnable stuff from there to the end.
Yeah.
Even if you're not running, it's a lot of stuff you can shuffle faster on than most of the course. But they roll into Blackwell just drained and dead. What is the secret sauce that gets them to the finish at that point? Is it the pacer? Is it food? Is it your motivational speaking? Is it all the above?
Bob Bauer. That's my answer. That's my answer. Bob Bauer. That's it.
And he is your runner, Laura's pacer from Blackwell to the finish.
Yep, that's Laura's pacer. I think just about anybody, I would say, if they have a pacer, that would be my answer. You put it into the pacer's hands at that point, and I think, stop it.
Oh.
And I think also, you try to get your runner, get everybody else away from your runner. I think at that point, having too much commotion around can be really distracting and not helpful at that point. So I try to keep everybody else away, play a little bodyguard, get out, look at that, get out that gun right there and get that out.
You got a permit for that?
Look at his shoulder. Look at that.
So I would add in there real quick before Chad even has answer to come up some garbage that he's going to say is Blackwell is a good spot for a sock and shoe change just for mentality. Whether you think you need it or not, obviously it's got to be a pair that you're confident with and comfortable with. But that's one of those spots, in my opinion, that can kind of give you new life. You climb up Gillespie Point, which is the last giant climb, and then you have that nice fresh feel to you. And at this point, for most people, it's turning daylight or after daylight, and it's a new day, new person, and you get to crush that last 20 miles. Right?
Yeah. And I think that is a little bit of a sneak preview into what will take us into part 2 of this challenge of Crewmania.
Jeez, hey. I got scared.
It's my Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh.
Because we will have some point systems over the weekend. One of them, which we will not, this won't be with our runner, but it will be with someone else. Because again, the runners, we wish everybody the best, 100% finish rate. This is more about who's best crew. So a couple of the feats of strength, I will call them, for this weekend. One is the fastest time to strip socks and shoes and then replace them without the runner's help. Now, not with our actual runners. We'll use a stand-in because we don't want to hold up our actual runners. Fastest time to refill 2 bottles without spilling water all over the person's hands.
I like it.
5-question quiz about the race rules, because in the Eastern States Post, they say your crew should know all of the race rules. So we will be quizzed on the race rules. A surprise check to see that your crew is always carrying essential items. Best car bed. Fastest time in and out of stations. Positive poker face, being able to say a convincing, you're crushing this, to your Ashen runner who's barely making cutoff times or barely making it out of the aid station. Best at cheering your runner into aid stations. We have a couple more, but we are going to do some measurements this weekend and see who is actually the best crew at Crewmania.
I like it. They're all good things, and all kidding aside, it's all stuff that the crew should be pretty efficient at. Most of those things, and it's funny, when pressure's on, it's pretty darn hard to fill up a water bottle. you know, when like you're shaking and like, oh, it sounds simple, but it's hard. So good stuff. And
yeah, I mean, I just heard this not too long ago. Faith, you were talking. we had one of our listeners chime in and say this is great entertainment while I'm breast pumping in my garage. I also saw somebody use a breast pump, the cup for helping to make sure that all of the stuff gets into the
funnel.
It's perfect size. It works really well.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's all kinds of things you can do to get ready for this weekend, and it looks like we might have another surprise challenger in the ring.
Team Kip.
Team Kip might be entering into the ring. I don't know. So we're gonna see how this goes.
Who's Team Kip? Who is Team Kip?
Kip.
Yeah, but who's Kip?
Oh,
Kip's
Kristen.
Team? Kristen? Oh, yeah. Come on. We were contenders, we said.
All right. Well, the score as of right now, I've added up all the questions and who earned what is Grayce has 77 and Chad Brown has 4.
He went to Mansfield. Can't do math. Wasn't his strong point.
Somebody just got very scared on their run.
All right. Well, let's end this show right now. I think we got a feel for what's going to happen this weekend. I look forward to being on the other side of things at the aid station. It's going to be super exciting. I have many hugs prepared, loaded, locked, cocked, and ready to give. And I look forward to seeing you all. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for supporting the show from the beginning. It means more than you know. And everybody else that's listening in and commenting, we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and I really do want to thank my hosts for the evening, Eric Von Doodle and Sarah, who was busy spending time with, she's spending time with other parts of her family. Not the son, I know.
Ethan,
you got left behind. I said parts of her family. You're part of it. She didn't take the whole family.
Hey, Ethan is here, her son, but his hair isn't on point. Right? That's why it's not okay. Yeah, but that's always on point. What you said, telling me or Eric?
Sarah decided to take the girls out to watch the Barbie movie tonight. Left the boys behind for the podcast.
That was a mistake.
But they've been awesome, gracious hosts, and just fun people in my life who I love having in my life. So I appreciate them hosting me over at their house, and Chad Brown joining. And Chad Brown, for the record, is the reason why I met Mr. Eric Kosak. So,
you're welcome.
Thank you, Chad.
Hey, Grayce is an awesome person. So Eric's good guy, awesome guy, but terrible at math.
And I'm so glad we could have you on, Jordan. And we'll have to have you on again when Chad's not around.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to join in and chatting with you all.
Absolutely.
It's fun times.
Jordan, I'm available next year, Jordan.
All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week for the Post Eastern States Rundown. Good night.